Hello, welcome to the lecture series on Control Systems Engineering. Now let us continue our discussion on time response analysis. In this session, let us talk about damping coefficient, damping ratio or damping factor, natural frequency, time constant, and its influence on system behavior. We'll perform time response analysis of second order systems. It can be mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, pneumatic, or thermal. Let us differentiate between undamped, underdamped, critically damped, and overdamped system behavior. Okay, correlate the roots of the characteristic equation with system behavior. So now, let me consider a mechanical system. So definitely I have taken a physical system. From physical system, I got this free body diagram. So this physical system has a mass, as a damper, as a spring, and let us say R of t is the input displacement and C of t is the output displacement. Earlier I have explained this. You can draw the free body diagram now, and you can mark all the forces. Since mass is moving downwards, the inertia force must oppose this. This M, say C of t double dot. Okay. Similarly, there is damping force opposing this, that is damping coefficient to velocity, correct? And there is an external force, okay, that is given by damp spring constant into C of t minus R of t. Okay. So reorganizing this, I am taking Laplace, and if I find the transfer function will be in this form. This is the way we represent a second order system. Let us, why is second order? Highest power of s is 2, it is second order, or it is characterized by a second order differential equation. Let us divide the numerator and denominator by m. So it is k by m, s square, f by m, and k by m. We define root of k by m as omega n. That is natural frequency, radians per second. And f by m, let us replace this m. Let me divide f by fc and also multiplied by fc. This ratio f by fc I represented by zeta, damping ratio. fc is nothing but 2 root mk. So this will become 2 zeta and root of k by m. Root of k by m again are replaced by omega n. So this is 2 zeta omega n. Zeta, as I mentioned, is damping ratio. Actual damping by critical damping. What is critical damping? Suppose if I go on increasing the damping value of this, if I disturb at a particular value of damping, it will just stop oscillating. Just stop oscillating. If the damping value is less than that critical value, it will definitely oscillate. If it is more than the critical value, it will not oscillate at all. That limiting value, we call it as a critical value. That is given by 2 root mk. Okay, we can derive this equation, right? Earlier you must have derived this in either in the vibration subject. So 2 root mk. Right? That's how we get this. Then to go back to this, let us replace this k by m by omega n square, s square, and f by m by 2 zeta omega n, and s, and k by m is omega n square. This is the general form of the second order system. General form of the second order system. So please know, if the value of zeta is less than, zeta is equal to 0, such a system is called undamped system. If the zeta is less than 1, we call it as underdamped system. Zeta is equal to 0, it is critically damped system. And zeta is greater than 1, it is overdamped system. Okay, practically many times we prefer underdamped systems. Okay, now let us study the response of the second order system if it is subjected to a step input. I'll give a step input here. Okay, I'll give a step displacement. Let us see now what happens. So our general form is C of s by R of s is equal to omega n square divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. Let me bring R of s this side, and R of s is nothing but 1 by s because it is unit step input. So you get now omega n square divided by s square 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n squared. I have to get C of t, that's my intention. So let us go for partial fractions. This a by s plus bs plus c divided by is the quadratic equation s square 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n squared. So let me take LCM, I'll get this. Then I'll compare coefficient of s square. Then I'll get a here, then b here, that must be equal to 0. Then I'll compare coefficients of s, I'll get 2 zeta omega n here, then c here. So I'll get 2 zeta omega n here plus c is equal to 0. Then I'll compare coefficients of omega n square, a s to the power of 0. Then I'll get omega n square here. Here also a omega n square, correct? So from here I can get a value is equal to 1. Substituting a here, I'll get c value. So a value is 1, so b value also I can get. So this is how I get the values of a, b and c, and let us substitute into these equations. So after substituting, I'll get C of s is equal to 1 by s. This is the way I get it. Right? Again, it is not in the standard form. Let me manipulate a little more in this. I want this in s plus a whole squared plus b squared form. This should be s plus a and b form. That is, then only I can take inverse Laplace. So what I'm going to do is s squared plus 2 zeta omega ns. I'll add zeta square omega n square and I will subtract zeta square omega n square. Right? So that this becomes s plus zeta omega n whole square, a plus b whole square formula. Right, this omega n square I can take out common. I can write omega n square 1 minus zeta square. So we define omega d. Omega d is omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. This is called damped natural frequency. Damped natural frequency. See, the question is, if the system is not damped, it will be oscillating like this. Correct. You know this is time period, and 1 by time period is frequency. Correct. That is natural frequency. So here, if there is damping, it will just die down like this. So now this frequency is damped natural frequency. Okay, this I can call it as TD, time period. So I'll represent this by omega d. Please know the relationship between damped natural frequency and natural frequency. Now S plus zeta omega n whole square, this becomes now omega d square. So it is in the form S plus a whole square plus b squared. So in the top also, let me split this as S plus zeta omega n, so that now I can separate them out. So 1 by S plus a divided by S plus a whole squared plus b squared minus, say, zeta omega 1 by S plus a whole squared b squared, we can say that way. Correct? So now I can take inverse Laplace. Laplace inverse of C of S is C of t. Laplace inverse of 1 by S is 1. This S plus a divided by S plus a whole squared plus b squared means e to the power of minus at cos bt. Cos bt, right? This is zeta omega n, you take out 1 by b e to the power of minus at sin bt. So this is how you can use Laplace inverse relationships from the table, and you can do this. Okay, now let us further simplify this one. Further simplify. Okay. So for that, let me take out e to the power of minus zeta omega nt common. Then I'll left with cos omega dt. Minus you are taken out, so it should be plus zeta omega n. Omega d is nothing but omega n under root 1 minus zeta square sin omega dt. Okay. Next thing is, okay, I will cancel this omega n and this omega n. Then you will get 1 minus zeta omega nt cos omega dt zeta by under root 1 minus zeta square sin omega dt. Let me just create a triangle with the opposite side root of 1 minus zeta square adjacent side zeta. This square plus this square must be equal to 1 now. So let me call this angle as sin phi. So I can write sin phi is opposite side by hypotenuse, this one. Cos phi is zeta by 1. I can write like this. Okay, now I'll do the further manipulation. I'll take LCM here and take out root of 1 minus zeta square outside the bracket. So I got this. So this I can replace by sin phi from that, and this I can replace by cos phi. This will become sin A cos B plus cos A sin B form. So I can write it as sin A plus B. So this whole thing I can write it as sin A plus B. So this is the relationship. C of t equal to 1 minus e to the power of minus zeta omega nt root of 1 minus zeta square sin omega dt plus phi. Okay. Now you can see that this is the amplitude term. This whole thing is the transient part. This is the transient response of the second order system. And this is the steady state part of the response. Steady state, correct? Steady state part of the response. Now, this is a decreasing amplitude because for a given system, zeta and omega n are known. As t varies, this decreases. So amplitude decreases. there is a sine term, it oscillates. So that's why when t is equal to 0, if we substitute, okay, t is equal to 0 here, correct? The output is say 0, 1 minus 1, 0. As the t changes, you can also see that this is how the output keeps varying. Okay, gradually it will die down like this. Amplitude decreases. When t becomes infinity, this should become 0. That's what's going to happen. Okay, this line r of t, I have given unit step input. Okay, this line is output, which you can plot from this. Okay, this here I have considered it is an underdamped system. I have considered zeta is less than 1 and I have derived this equation. From this equation we can clearly make out the output is oscillator, like it oscillates and damps down gradually. Okay, the output oscillates and gradually attains the steady state. Okay, here I have written steady state value is equal to 1. Fine. If at all, if I assume zeta is equal to 1, zeta greater than 1, if at all zeta is equal to 1 and I derive the equation, you can see the response will not be oscillating at all. You will not get sine term. Gradually it rises and reaches to the steady state. So critically damped system will just stop oscillating. If I assume zeta greater than 1 and derive this equation, this will take a lot of time to attain steady state. Okay, so this is how critically damped and over damped systems behave. Okay, now we'll further discuss. The denominator of the transfer function truly represents the system. So roots of the denominator polynomial characterize the system behavior. Hence the denominator polynomial equated to 0 is called a characteristic equation. Okay, so 1 plus g of s h of s is equal to 0 is the characteristic equation. So it is g of s or 1 plus g of s h of s we write. So it's the characteristic equation. So in the second order system, c of s by r of s is omega n square divided by s square plus 2 zeta omega ns plus omega n square. So let me equate this to 0 and this is the characteristic equation. So it is a second order algebraic equation. So if I solve this, it will have two roots. So minus b plus or minus under root b squared minus 4ac by 2a, correct? That's how we can find the roots. So if we do that, you can see here we have s square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square equal to 0 we have. So in this case a is equal to 1, b is okay 2 zeta omega n and c is omega n squared. The equation is, you know, that ax square plus bx plus c, correct? No. So a is equal to 1 and b is nothing but 2 zeta omega n and c is nothing but omega n square. So you substitute here and finally you will get, this is a quadratic equation, there should be two roots. That's why I marked it as 1, 2. Root S1 and S2. Okay, right. Now in this equation we will substitute the value of zeta, then you get the root locations. Suppose zeta is equal to 0, if I substitute, this is 0, this is 0, root of minus 1 is I, so then you will get plus or minus, let me call it as j omega. Two imaginary roots you get. So one imaginary root is sitting over here, this is S-plane, sigma j omega, and another root is sitting over here on S-plane. Because I solved the quadratic equation is equal to zeta omega n, there are two roots on imaginary axis. Okay, now the solution for this will be simply an oscillatory solution. Correct? Continuously the system will be oscillating. That is what undamped system is. System oscillates with its natural frequency omega n. When the roots are on imaginary axis, so you will get oscillatory behavior. Okay. Next, let me put zeta less than 1. If I put zeta less than 1, this becomes again j omega n less than 1 now. So minus zeta omega n. There is real part, imaginary part. So let me go zeta omega n, the real part, and this is the imaginary part. Hey, zeta is less than 1. Yes, this will become imaginary. Yes. So I have written j omega n under root 1 minus zeta square. So that much let us measure positive side. Here also negative side I'll measure. So draw this one, draw this one, draw this. You will get two complex conjugate roots laying on the left side of the S-plane. And you have seen the solution will be, it will start oscillating, slowly damped down. Okay, it will be oscillating with a damped natural frequency omega t. When the roots are on complex conjugate roots, this is what exactly happens. If the value of zeta is equal to 1, if I substitute zeta is equal to 1, this will become 0. It will become minus omega n. Two roots, both are minus omega n on the negative real side. They are identical roots. And the response, there is no lying in the no part in the imaginary axis, so it will not oscillate at all. So gradually it will attain steady state. If zeta is greater than 1, zeta is greater than 1 plus 1 minus 2 unequal real roots, negative real roots you get. 1 here, 1 here. Again the response is like this, no oscillation. Okay, the response root locations you need to note down. That is what is important. Okay, please be clear, if the roots are on imaginary axis, the system will be continuously oscillating with its natural frequency. If the roots are complex conjugate, the system oscillates, but gradually the amplitude dies down. If the roots are on the negative real axis, there is no oscillation. The system slowly attains steady state. Okay, so depending on the value of the zeta, the roots get located at different position, and based on that, the response of the system will be different, right? Depends on that. Okay, yes, we'll carry this forward. So this is a very important understanding. The system response depends on the damping ratio of the system. In the next lecture, let us see how fast a system can attain steady state. I think one of the requirements of control system is to find out how fast system responds. That's what I was talking about, relative stability. So that's how the damping ratio and natural frequency of the system determine the system's behavior, the speed of response. Now let us simulate a simple second order system on Simulink. I think this I have already done, and how to create the Simulink model also I have explained. And now you know what is a step input. If I give a step stimulus for a given values of mass, spring and damper values, you can find what is the displacement of the system, what is the velocity, what is the acceleration. This I have already explained. Correct? Similarly, we can study for ramp, right? Now you see here, I was just explaining now. Now you understand. Earlier I just demonstrated. Now you can understand now. It is 1 to 4 means natural frequency is 2 radians per second. Damping ratio, here it is 2 means 2 zeta omega n is equal to 2, correct? So here omega n square is equal to 4. That means omega n is equal to 2 from this equation. So omega n is equal to 2 if I substitute zeta is equal to 0.5. So for zeta is equal to 0.5. Correct? This is the response. Now if I change the denominator, I have made it as 134. Now zeta is 0.75. Less than 1 only. This is the response you get. 4, that means zeta is equal to 1. This is the response you get. So on MATLAB, if I type this program, if I run it, this is what you get. Right? So you can very clearly see that if the damping ratio is less, you see here, this is the time taken. Assume that this is the input value. That is not exactly the input value, right? Anyway, I have given unit step input. Anyway, that is divided by 4. So you see here the time here. Okay, to rise from here to here, to rise from here to here, it is taking so much time. If it is damping ratio is increased, its time is increasing. If it is over damped, critically damped, its time is further increasing. Correct. But you have to be very careful. This may be reaching here very fast, but probably to reach that 4-time constant value, the blue one is taking more time. But the green may not be taking more time. So we have to find the right damping value so that this time response can be adjusted. Okay, this is the very carefully start understanding. When you design, I'll explain those things. Okay, that is the idea. How exactly the damping ratio and the natural frequency of the system affect the system behavior for a given input. Okay, SMD system I have taken like this, I have plotted. Now, one more thing very important here is, right, I have taken frequency ratio here and gain here, and I have simulated resonance, correct? So omega n I started with, omega I varied from this, okay, right, damping ratio I varied, H I varied, time, this thing, then using a do loop I have simulated these things, and finally I have plotted gain versus frequency ratio, correct now, and you have defined frequency ratio here. So at particular frequency ratio, when natural frequency and the system frequency are equal, that is frequency ratio is 1, you can see the resonance occurring. So these kind of things we can simulate over here. So type this program in MATLAB and you can see this, right? Fine, sir. So we have understood now how exactly first order systems respond to stimuli and the second order system. Now as we are building up, things are becoming complex. Please understand, it's very important to know the root location and how exactly system behavior is connected with the location of roots on S-plane. So it should be very clear to you. In the meantime, learn how to use MATLAB and Simulink to simulate this. With this, thank you. We'll continue in the next session.